All right, and this is what we're going to be doing today is a monochromatic gradation. Notice how the color is changing the tones as we just learned about in our PowerPoint. That is our example of what we're going to be doing today, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So while I'm doing this, I'm just filling in the center box, so it is box number 4, and notice I'm using my blue colored pencil and I am using the side of my pencil. I'm going in different directions and I'm not drawing super hard. These are all something to consider while you're filling in these boxes. Rather than just drawing super hard, I'm working in layers. So you can see as I'm working, filling in that box, and obviously it's okay if you get outside the lines every once in a while. But we do want to keep this neat so we can get all our points in for a good grade. And so now I have filled in my center box, and I can go back and correct that later if I'd like to. And now I'm going to go ahead and use my black color pencil and go to the very far left box and start filling it in with my black colored pencil because that is the far darkest part of our gradation scale. So notice still, I'm not drawing super dark. I am putting more pressure than I was before because it is the darkest part of our scale. And notice I'm still going in multiple directions while I'm drawing. That's something that you guys really want to focus on in order to get those white spots out. And so it doesn't look. And then we can go to our far right box and start filling in with white, but you guys will notice that it does not do much, so you do not have to do this if you don't want to. And then I'm actually going to work back over to the left and just start filling in those other boxes, so that second and third box, with my true hue or just my blue color pencil. Notice I am still working in layers, so I'm still not even drawing super hard, and this is the darker side of the scale too. So we're working up in layers as we're going with this scale. And now I'm going to work back over to the right, and I'm going to draw very lightly. Notice you can barely even see the colored pencil as I'm putting my pressure down. I'm doing very lightly because we want that transition to be very clear as we are shading in these boxes. And then I'm going to go back over to my shaded side and just try to fill in this box as well. I'm still doing my multi-directional lines, as you notice, and I'm not putting super harsh pressure down, even though we are on the darker side of the scale. This is something to really value as you are completing this scale, is not to put a bunch of pressure down, and that we will work in layers. And then I'm going to go back over to my tinted side and draw a little bit with more pressure than my other one on the tinted side. Notice I'm still doing my multi-directional lines and barely putting any pressure down. And now, remember our vocabulary, we are going to start using shading. So this is when we're adding black to a hue, which is exactly what we're doing. So I am layering my black on top of my hue, so my blue. And it just makes it look like it has a different tone of blue, which is exactly what we just learned about. Notice I'm still working in multi-directional lines and just filling in my box as nice and neat as I can. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do that with the next box to the right, just a little bit with less pressure than before. I'm still using my multi-directional lines. And we can always work back, so if you work a little too dark or too light, we can always go back to other boxes and change those tones relative to one another so that they are a gradation. And now I'm actually going to bring my blue color pencil on top of that black color pencil and rework it, since we want that tone to be closer to the true hue. So we're going to add that blue back in order to make it more blue rather than just the shaded tone. So I'm reworking that area, and we can rework other areas too in order to create that gradation. And like I said, we can always rework areas, so we can go back to that true hue and even add more layers to that original blue right in the center in order to make it more distinct and not have white space, because that's going to be important in comparison to those tinted areas. We want this to be as pure blue as we can, or whatever color you're using. And this is actually my favorite part, is adding the white. I think it's so cool to see it blend over it. So we're just going to layer that white on top of the blue on the tinted side, and you'll see that actually really changes the color and it blends it, and really just makes it a different tone in comparison to that original blue. And then we can go back and rework areas. So I'm going to go back over to my shaded side and add some more black to my first blue box, so the second box on there. And I'm just going to go in and fill in and try to blend together my blue and my black in order to get the correct tone that I want. And then I'm actually gonna, I just added some white, and now I'm just gonna add some more blue on top of it in order to make it a little bit more of that pure hue, the true original blue that we were using in the beginning. And that way there's more of a transition from the tint to the true hue. Yep, and then just for the rest of this video, I just keep reworking areas. Like I wanted to make that shaded area a lot darker, and then I work in my blue again as well. So that's what I'm doing here. And then in the end, I actually ended up adding some blue to my very right box. You guys don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I just decided to do it because I made my other boxes a little too dark as to what I wanted. So, and that is my final product. So good luck with your guys' monochromatic gradation.